Welcome to this recording of What Are Ghosts? This fascinating discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in Hollywood, California on July 22, 1945. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. There are all kinds of tales about ghosts, devils, witches, vampires, and not a few persons have claimed to have had various experiences with such creatures. Of the several cases that have come to my attention, most of the persons involved suffered from overly strong and diseased imaginations. One of them, a woman, had chanced to read a book about vampires, and her imaginings were so vivid that she believed one of them was sucking her blood away each night. Whenever she visited me, she became well, but the idea of the nightly presence of a vampire was so strong in her that after a time she would become ill again. She died prematurely, destroyed by her own thoughts. In the 16th century, belief in witchcraft was widespread, and hundreds of persons suspected of being witches were falsely accused of being in league with the devil and were put to death. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake as one bewitched. Even Jesus Christ, who was healing the sick and doing only good, was accused of being in touch with Beelzebub. It is true that at various times evil spirits in possessed persons recognized Jesus and spoke to him, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of God." Jesus himself spoke of Satan and of evil spirits, which he exorcised from many persons, in one case casting the evil spirits into the bodies of a herd of swine. There is another world, the Astral, hidden behind this universe. Its inhabitants are garbed in an astral form made of light. Lacking a physical body, they are ghosts, invisible to us. Ordinarily, they are confined to their own sphere, just as we are limited to our own physical world. If it were a simple matter for the ill-intentioned among astral beings to penetrate the earth plane and hurt us, we would be living in terror all the time. There is enough horror already on this earth of ours. Are not millions of deadly germs floating around? Certainly God would not add the interference of spooks to our sufferings. There are, however, a few astral beings known as Tramp souls. They are earthbound because of strong attachments to the world and are desirous of entering a physical form for sense enjoyments. Such beings are usually unseen, and they have no power to affect the ordinary person. Tramp souls do occasionally succeed in entering and taking possession of someone's body and mind, but only when such a person is mentally unstable or has weakened his mind by keeping it often blank or unthinking. It is like leaving a car unlocked with the key in the ignition. Some vagrant may get in and drive off. Tramp souls want a free ride in someone else's physical body vehicle, anyone's, having lost their own that they were so attached to. It was in such cases of possession that Jesus exorcised the vagrant spirits. Tramp souls cannot stand the high vibration of spiritual thoughts and consciousness. Sincere seekers after God who practice scientific methods of prayer and meditation need never fear such beings. God is the spirit of all spirits. No harm from negative spirits can come to one whose thoughts are on God. To understand better what astral beings are, let us first understand what we are. When God created us, we existed first only as consciousness. We were a creation of his mind. Is it not true that whenever you create something new, the initial step is to visualize a model of it in your mind? Then you gather together the materials, and finally you construct the tangible image of your idea. In the same manner, we and everything in creation are triune: mental, the idea; astral, the building material; and physical, the gross end product. The physical body is made of 16 elements. How God combined the chemical materials of physical elements to express intelligence is a marvel. Nevertheless, this body is anything but perfect. We can conceive of a much better one. I would like to create a body that would be like asbestos, able to go through fire and not burn, one in which there could be no broken bones, no unpleasant coughing. The physical body has pains and aches. Its spark plugs are often missing. First one part and then another gives out, and finally the heart fails. Americans like to get a new car every year, but they have to keep this old body model 60 or 70 years. Yet even when it is falling apart, still you want to hang on to the model you have until finally the Lord says, "Come on, get out of it." Then you spring from the worn-out physical form and see that you are encased in a luminous body, an astral body of light and energy. You rejoice to find that you can hear, you can see, you can touch, and that your new form possesses no bones to be broken, no flesh to be hurt. Our astral body is composed of 19 elements, which are mental, emotional, and lifetronic. These are intelligence, ego, feeling, mind, 5 instruments of knowledge, the subtle powers behind the physical sense organs of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, 5 instruments of action, the powers for the executive abilities to procreate, excrete, talk, walk, and exercise manual skill, and 5 instruments of life force, those empowered to perform the crystallizing, assimilating, eliminating, metabolizing, and circulatory functions of the physical body. These are all subtly made. We can hear, smell, taste, touch, and see in the dream world through the power that is in the 5 senses. And in the astral world, even without the physical organs of the ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and skin, we still have with us the power of all 5 sense perceptions. The astral body is weightless and travels as light travels. You can at will make the astral body very small like an atom, or you can make it very large. Why not? God, the divine operator of the cosmic movie of creation, can enlarge or reduce the size of the picture on the screen. He is the projectionist, running the film from the booth of eternity. You are an individualized expression of his infinite light. Your astral body is therefore much freer from the cosmic limitations that so strongly bind the physical form. But God had first to think of what materials he wanted to put into the physical and astral bodies before he actually created them. We therefore have also a causal or idea body of 35 elements, the 16 ideas that go to make up the elements of the physical body, and the 19 ideas that constitute the elements of the astral body. From the causal thought forms, the astral body's 5 instruments of life force make visible the astral body of light and the physical body of gross matter. The following experiment illustrates the idea. Close your eyes and visualize a horse on the left. At first, your concept is fuzzy, but if I suggest a white horse, you can more easily visualize it. Now think of a black horse on the right side. You are creating mental or causal images. Switch them about so that the white horse is on the right side. If you can visualize a little more strongly, you will be able to see these thought forms as real images. That is what you do in a dream. Your mind is more concentrated then, causing your thought forms to become visible to you. Dreams and visions are astral in essence, being composed of light and energy. Could you actually make the astral images of the black and white horses true to the physical senses? You would have materialized a physical creation. So essentially, we are made of 35 ideas, which make up the ideational or causal body of man. Encased within the 35 thoughts is the Spirit of God, which is called the soul. Just as one flame emerges from the tiny openings of a gas burner as many individual flames, so are we all one light, flowing from God into many bodies. When you die, your physical body of 16 elements disintegrates, but the 19 elements of your astral body remain intact. Where, then, are all those souls who have left this earth? They are roaming in the ether. That is impossible, you say. So let us make a comparison. If a primitive tribesman came here and I told him that music is audible in the ether, he would laugh at me, or perhaps become frightened. But if I then brought a radio and tuned in a station where music was playing, he would no longer be able to deny the truth of my statement. I could similarly show you right now that astral beings are roaming in the ether, and you couldn't deny it. The astral world is right here, just behind the gross vibration of the physical cosmos. If you were to behold the multitude of astral beings in the ether around you at this moment, many of you would be afraid, and some of you would try to seek among them your departed loved ones. If you concentrate deeply at the spiritual eye, you can view with inner vision that luminous world in which are living all the souls who have gone on to the astral plane. In human beings, the heart acts as a receiving instrument and the spiritual eye as a broadcasting station. Even if you cannot see your lost beloved ones, if you can calmly concentrate your feeling on the heart, you can become aware of the reassuring presence of those dear to you who are now in astral form, enjoying their freedom from flesh thraldom. I see many astral beings who have left the material plane, but they cannot see me. I don't make myself visible to them, but I can behold them if I so desire. Therefore, we are not fully released at death when we depart from the physical form. Our souls are still encased in the subtle astral and ideational bodies. It is only when man dons a physical form that he becomes a visible being in this world. After the death of his physical body, he remains in the astral form as a ghost, an intelligent, invisible being with essentially the same mentality and characteristics he had on Earth. Inhabitants of the astral realms can of course see one another in their luminous bodies. But astral beings are not ordinarily visible to us on Earth unless we know how to perceive the astral world through the spiritual eye. When souls shed the astral body and go into a mental form in the causal world, they are not non-entities, but they do become truly invisible, even as ideas are invisible. Jesus said, "Destroy this body temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." He meant that he had to divest himself of the physical, astral, and mental bodies by casting out all vestiges of attachment to a form to become one with spirit. It took 3 distinct efforts to do this. If a departed soul has unfinished desires created while on the earth plane, it continues to feel in the astral those desires and the wish to express itself through a material body. And so that soul in its astral vehicle is drawn again into a united sperm and ovum cell and is once more in a physical form. The prana that permeates the physical body is intelligent life force. The electricity that illuminates the light bulb does not create the bulb, but the electricity or life force in the united human sperm and ovum cells guides the embryonic and subsequent development of the entire human body. Manifesting as the aforementioned 5 life forces of the astral body, it is an intelligent or consciously directed force. It is unwise to ascribe to yourself permanently any defect of your body. Suppose you have lost an arm in this life, and the thought of that loss becomes so impinged on your consciousness that you think you can never again have the use of that arm. When you are reborn the next time, you bring with you that consciousness of a missing arm. And if that negative thought is strong enough, it may inhibit the creative action of the intelligent life force that grows the arms of your new body. You should therefore never identify yourself with the flaws of your physical form. They do not belong to you, for you are the pure, perfect image of God, the soul. So you see, before you took on this physical form, you were a ghost, and when you die, you will become a ghost again. We are also ghosts when we sleep, for in sleep, we are not aware of ourselves as a physical body at all. Since you are a ghost when you are asleep, and you will be one after death, why be afraid of ghosts? That is what you were, and that is what you are going to be. The only difference is that when you enter the astral world at death, you cannot create at will a physical body like the one you now have. Only great masters who have attained oneness with the divine creator can do so. Spiritually advanced souls can condense the subtle vibrations of the astral vehicle into a tangible body. Death should not be feared. We fear death because of pain and because of the thought that we may become obliterated. This idea is erroneous. Jesus showed himself in a physical form to his disciples after his death. Lahiri Mahasaya returned in the flesh the next day after he had entered Mahasamadhi. They proved that they were not destroyed. Just because instances of those who have mastered the cosmic laws are few, one should not say that their testimony is not true. You should not ignore the divine demonstrations of Jesus and my Paramparam Guru, Babaji, nor can I put aside the evidence of what I have seen, my resurrected Guru, Sri Yukteswarji, or what I have experienced in myself. This soul, in essence, the reflection of the spirit, never undergoes the throes of death or the pangs of birth, nor, having once known existence, is it ever non-existent. This soul was never born. It is everlastingly living, untouched by the Maya magic of change. The soul is ever constant through all cycles of bodily disintegrations. Many times, when some disciple living far away has been ill or dying, he has drawn my astral body there through his devotion. One such incident happened here. Sevadevi was a very devoted student. She became extremely ill, but she never complained about it to anyone. She knew her time had come to leave this earth. One day when I visited her in Los Angeles, she said to me, "Please don't hold me here." Later on, I was staying in the Self-Realization Fellowship Hermitage in Encinitas for a time. I had been given a radio and was waking up early in the mornings to listen to broadcasts from India. One morning, I suddenly felt intuitively the subtle astral vibration of Sevadevi. She drew my astral body to her through her devotion. My physical body was as dead. I was told later that Sevadevi exclaimed, just before her passing, "Swamiji is here." She was aware of being consciously ushered by me into the other world. Sometime afterward, I saw her glowing astral form. She was sitting in one of my classes, just as real as she used to appear in life. If anyone had touched me at that time, he would have seen her too. However, one who is in that state of astral consciousness does not usually allow others to touch him. We have passed through death and rebirth so many times. Why be afraid of death? It comes to free us. You shouldn't wish for death, but be comforted in the realization that it is our escape from so many troubles. It is a pension after the hard work of life. People also fear death because they have been in this cage of flesh so long that they feel timid about leaving its security. But it is foolish to be afraid. Just think, no more repaired tires on the body vehicle, no more patchwork living. Since it is the Lord's desire that we should have this old model until death comes, we have to keep it and take care of it. But I wish the Lord would give everyone the ability to go into Samadhi and change his bodily vehicle as easily as did Rishi Narada. He was singing of God in divine ecstatic communion, and when he returned to ordinary consciousness, he saw he had shed his old body and had reincarnated in a fresh new youthful form. That is the highest form of transmigration. There is in India a story of a dying youth who, hearing the sobs of grief around him, cried, "Insult me not with your cries of sympathy, when I soar to the land of eternal light and love. It is I who should feel for you. For me, disease, shattering of bones, sorrow, excruciating heartaches no more. I dream joy, I glide in joy, I breathe in joy evermore." You don't know what is going to come to you in this world. You have to go on living and worrying. Those who die are pitying us. They are blessing us. Why should you grieve for them? I told this to a woman who had lost her son. When I finished explaining, she dried her tears immediately and said, "Never before have I felt such peace. I'm glad to know that my son is free. I thought something awful had happened to him." It is possible to enter and leave the body consciously. Many spiritually developed persons can see their own astral body. St. John says in the Bible, "And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead." When your astral body ascends or leaves the body at death, you see your physical body as dead. That same experience occurs when advanced yogis transcend the physical body at will. Thus John, though living, saw his material form as dead during the samadhi he describes. It is fun to get in and out of the body this way. but many persons who think they can do so are only imagining it. Just because you think it is so doesn't make it so. You have to know the technique. One man in New York came to me and assured me that he could travel astrally. "I don't think you can," I said. "You are only imagining you can do so." Still, he insisted that I test him. "All right," I agreed. "Go downstairs astrally and tell me what is in the restaurant there." He was quiet for a moment. Then he told me, "There is a big piano in the right-hand corner." I knew he was imagining it, for I had observed that his breathing was normal, and so was his pulse. "On the contrary," I said, "I think you will find there 2 women sitting at a table." He laughed at me. Then we both went down into the restaurant. No piano stood in the corner, but 2 women were seated at a table there. At last he understood that he had been fooled by his own imagination. Often I see with the inner astral vision happenings in the war in Europe, but it seems like a picture show. The world was meant to entertain us, not to torture us. God has made his motion picture of creation very complex, full of contrasts of good and evil. When you go to a movie, you like to see lots of excitement. Think how many times you have gone to view a murder mystery, and when the movie ended, you said to yourself, "That was a good show." Learn to look upon this movie of life with the same sense of detachment and enjoyment. There is a lesson to be learned from the fact that we are now encaged in the human body, and that at night and when we die we become ghosts. We must learn to know our ghostly nature, our invisible, powerful nature. But you cannot do so if you are always concentrating on the body. "I have a headache. I want this and that. I dislike spinach." Preoccupation with material concerns is what you must overcome. How can you do this? Make God the first thought in your life. So long as you keep him in second place, he will not come to you. Gold, wine, and sex were created to hold you to this world. The Lord uses them as tests to see whether you prefer them to his love. The power of black magic is in your thought. In addition to the fear of ghosts, some people have a dread of black magic and other black arts. Many people tell me that somebody they know is using black magic on them. I say to them, "You are sitting in the castle of God. No one can harm you if you truly believe in God." But when you believe in the negative thought that somebody is injuring you, you give him the power to do so. Suppose someone is sending you a wrong thought and you accept it. It will hurt you. But you do not have to accept evil ideas. Don't be afraid of malicious persons. No one can affect you unless you are fearful. Fear and keeping the mind blank allow evil to enter. But when you say, "God is with me," nothing but good can come to you from the thoughts of others. Wrap yourself in the thought of God. His holy name is the power of all powers. Like a shield, it deflects all negative vibrations. The cosmic war of good and evil. Why be concerned about the negligible threat of the powers of Tramp soul ghosts or practitioners of the black arts? At every moment, a far greater danger to our happiness and well-being exists right within us and around us. 2 forces are fighting, the one to save us and the other to hurt us. We are caught in the cosmic war between good and evil. This world is ruled by invisibilities or ghosts. God the Father, Christ consciousness, the 7 spirits before the throne of God, and Satan and his legion of evil powers. The 7 spirits before the throne of God are the principal intelligent forces of creation. Holy Ghost, the prime creative vibratory power of God, Om or Amen, and its 6 individualized creative powers that structure and maintain the physical, astral, and causal universes and the physical, astral, and causal bodies of man. Originally, Satan was an archangel. He was given the power to create the world according to God's plan. After he had completed his assignment, he was to go back to God, as God intended all creation to return to him. But if this intelligent power, personified in the scriptures as Satan, were to retire into spirit, creation would disappear. To prevent this, Satan implanted evil, that is, material, desires in man, fulfillment of which would necessitate man's return to Earth again and again, thus keeping the machinery of creation going. In this way, the devil tries to see to it that man doesn't get a chance to go back to God. There is a great tug of war between the devil and God. One cannot dismiss the problem by thinking that Satan is a mere delusion. God would be very ignorant if he didn't know about the evil in the world. And why did Jesus say, "Get thee behind me, Satan, and deliver us from evil," if there is no Satan? Why is it necessary to pray to God at all if there is no devil? Evil does exist. When the Lord created man, he created the devil too. Satan, with his power of Maya, exists in order to test the children of God. Unless fire melts iron, steel cannot be forged. When disease or suffering comes, you should realize that it is a test of God's Maya. You must pass these tests. You must not be upset by them. Though Jesus was suffering on the cross, he surmounted that divine test. Many great souls have died of terrible diseases and suffering. Saint Teresa of Avila was afflicted with tuberculosis, and yet she said, "I don't want the Lord to shorten my trials. I want to suffer bravely and work as long as I can." And when her body died, she was lifted up in Christ. This creation is the Lord's hobby. But I constantly plead with him, "Why do you have such a hobby? Why do you give us such troubles?" Our earth is one of the worst places in creation. There are far better dwelling places than this, but though God allows troubles to exist, he also tries to help us out of them. God and his angels and millions of good spirits are trying to establish their order of divine harmony on earth. Every beneficial quality is created by a good spirit. Good spirits are constantly casting the seeds of helpful thoughts into the soil of your mind. At the same time, Satan, the king of darkness, with his evil spirits, is creating disorder and trouble in the world. Who but Satan created disease germs? There have been various plagues, then tuberculosis, and now the latest destroyer is cancer, all diabolical methods of torturing human beings. But God is inspiring many researchers to find new ways to banish disease. The temptation of Adam and Eve. To hold man to earth life, Satan created sex. That temptation has been with man since the beginning of time. The Lord created man and woman by willpower. Their bodies were materializations of his divine wisdom and love. Man and woman originally had the same power as he to create children by mental fiat. Adam and Eve were empowered by him to propagate the species by immaculate or divine means. As my guru Sri Yukteswarji explained, the evil force, Satan, tempted Eve to taste the fruit, sex, in the midst of the garden, body. God had said that the original man and woman were to enjoy all the sensations of the tree of life, except the experience of sex, which is in the midst, or center, of the body garden. The serpent that tempted Eve is the coiled-up spinal energy that feeds and stimulates the sex nerves. When the emotion or Eve consciousness in any human being is overpowered by the sex impulse, his reason, or Adam, also succumbs. Sexual pleasure is a delusive counterpart of God's bliss. Thus, when sex is divorced from faithful love and used only to gratify lustful instincts, it becomes a tool of the devil to keep man's consciousness locked in the senses. Unable to experience God consciousness or realization of the self as spirit. Sex and desire for wine and money, these are the counterfeits created by Satan to displace the ecstasy of the soul. When Adam and Eve tasted of the sex sensation, they fell from paradise. They lost that divine consciousness by which they could feel their oneness with God in soul ecstasy, and they were forced out of the Garden of Eden. Ever since, human beings have had to reproduce their kind the sexual way, like the animals. Women give birth in a troublesome and painful manner. Then, too, husband and wife have to accept what they get. If a bad child comes, they must rear it. Originally, they were able to create what they wanted through the power of mind, just as God does. What happy days of pristine innocence! In the ultimate sense, even Satan is really a tool of God. Satan fails to keep his promises to man, and then the disillusioned person seeks the faithful Lord. Why wait for disillusionment? I urge you not to put all your eggs of happiness in one basket. When you are physically strong and well and reasonably contented, suddenly pain comes and you think, my goodness, what is this? Self-Realization Fellowship teaches you not to put all your hopes for happiness in the frail basket of your body and the pleasures of this world, by teaching you to master the body, and above all, by teaching you to meditate. Listen to the voice of God through your good thoughts. God and his angelic spirits are creating these good thoughts. The devil is creating his own kind of thoughts. Every time a bad thought comes, cast it out. Then Satan can't do anything to you. But as soon as you think wrongly, you go toward Satan. You are constantly moving back and forth between good and evil. To escape, you must go where Satan will be unable to reach you, deep in the heart of God. Thank you for listening to this recording of What Are Ghosts by Paramahansa Yogananda. May this knowledge free you from fear and deepen your understanding of the invisible world that surrounds us. Remember, no shadow can linger where the light of divine consciousness shines steadily. Peace. Amen.